Welcome back, everyone. Now we are going to study the module 2. So here we can see what are the topics we have here under module 2. So the first one is introduction to prompt engineering. So here what we are going to study is introduction to prompt engineering, the evolution of prompt engineering, types of prompts, how does prompt engineering work, and comprehending prompt engineering functions in communication, the advantages of prompt engineering, the future of LLM communication, and next is prompt engineering techniques for ChatGPT. So introduction to prompt engineering techniques, introduction to prompt techniques, zero, one, and few shot prompting, self-consistency prompting, and prompt for creative thinking, introduction, unlocking imagination. So many things we are going to study under this module too. Okay, so along with prompts for effective writing. So let's start with what is prompt engineering. So if you have ever used tools like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or Claude, then you have already done a little bit of prompt engineering, even if you didn't realize it. But what exactly is prompt engineering? Let's understand with a simple example. Imagine you visit a restaurant. If you simply tell the waiter, bring me some food, what do you think will happen? The waiter will probably ask several questions like what kind of food you need, or you need a vegetarian or non-vegetarian. So whether your food must be a spicy one or mild one, how many people are there? So these are the questions waiter is going to ask, right? So if you say exactly what you want, like please bring me one plate of vegetable fried rice and medium spicy with an extra sauce. This time your instruction is very clear, right? So the waiter understands exactly what you want and delivers the correct order. So the AI works exactly in the same way. The quality of AI response depends largely on the quality of the instruction we are going to provide. That instruction is called prompt. Okay. So let's see what is prompt. A prompt is simply the input we give to an AI model. That's it. Okay, it can be a question, or it can be a command, it can be an instruction, or it can be a paragraph, even a conversation. Okay, so for example, if you ask what is explain artificial intelligence, so write a Python program to solve numbers. Summarize this article. If you upload your document and if you say summarize this article and translate this sentence into a French, so all these examples all these are examples of prompts. And what is prompt engineering? Okay, so now let's understand the complete definition of prompt engineering. So it is the art and science of designing effective prompts so that the AI model generate accurate, meaningful, and useful responses. Notice the word, notice the words art and science. Why is it called an art? Because writing a good prompt requires creativity. Okay, so if you want to write some kind of prompt, it requires creativity. You need to think about how to communicate your requirement clearly. So why is it called a science? Because a small changes in the wording of a prompt can produce a very different result. By experimenting and improving the prompt, we can consistently obtain better output. That's why prompt engineering combines both creativity and logical thinking. Why is prompt engineering is important? Okay, you might wonder. So ChatGPT is already intelligent. Why do we need prompt engineering then? The answer is very simple. AI models do not automatically know exactly what you want, but they generate the responses based on the instructions we are going to provide. If the prompt is unclear, the response may also be unclear or incomplete. But if the prompt is detailed and specific, the AI can generate much better result. Okay. So next we are going to discuss why is it important. Okay. Why is prompt engineering is so important? Many people think that the AI system, like a chat GPT, understand the language exactly the way humans do. But that's actually not true. AI doesn't think, understand the emotions, or use the common sense the way humans do. Instead, AI generates the responses by recognizing the pattern from the massive amount of data it was trained on. In simple words, AI predicts the most appropriate next words based on your prompt. That's why the quality of the AI answers depends heavily on the quality of your instruction. If your prompt is vague or incomplete, the AI may give a vague or incomplete response. If your prompt is clear, detailed and specific, the AI is much more likely to generate an accurate and useful answer. So one simple rule to remember is better prompt equals to better output. So let's understand why the prompt engineering is so valuable in the real world application. See, first one is the precision. If you take a precision, so more accurate answers. Precision means more accurate one. So the first benefit is the precision. Precision means getting an right answer. Imagine if you ask ChatGPT, tell me about Java. Now the AI has a problem. Are you asking about the Java programming language, the Java Iceland in Indonesia, or Java coffee? Since the prompt is unclear, the AI has to guess. Now let's improve the prompt. Instead of saying, tell me about Java, if you say, explain the Java programming language for beginners with simple examples. Okay, if you ask this question, now the AI understands exactly what you're looking for. The answer becomes much more accurate. This is why prompt engineering improves precision. The second one is efficiency. So imagine if you ask a chat GPT to write a report, okay? If your instruction is incomplete, if your instruction is incomplete, you will probably have to ask several follow-up questions like make it shorter, add examples, and use the bullet points and explain in simple language. So this takes an extra time. Instead, if you include all these requirements in your very first prompt, okay, the AI can generate the desired output immediately. For example, you can ask, you can put an input, or you can write a prompt like this. Write a one-page report on artificial intelligence for college students using the simple English, including three examples and summarize at the end. Now, if you ask questions like this, the AI knows exactly what you expect, and this saves both your time and effort. The next one is creativity. So, generative AI is capable of producing creative content, but creative also depends on the prompt, right? Suppose if you ask, give me a business idea, the response may be a very general. So instead of this, if you have suggest five unique business ideas for student with a budget below 50,000 that uses artificial intelligence. Now the AI generates much more creative and useful ideas because you have clearly defined the context. Okay. So the next one is clarity. So here the prompt engineering improves the communication between the humans and AI. Think about talking to another person. If your instructions are confusing, the other person may misunderstand you. The same thing happens with AI. For example, if you simply say, explain the machine learning, AI doesn't know whether you are a school student or college student or experienced software engineer. Now imagine if you say, explain the machine learning to a 10-year-old child using a simple language and real life examples. Now the AI clearly understands the audience and adjusts its explanation accordingly. So this makes the communication much more effective. That's the clarity. So the next one is the control. Okay. So prompt engineering allows you to control how the AI responds. You can specify the tone, the level of detail, the writing style, the audience, the output format. Say, for example, you can ask the AI to explain it like a teacher, answer like an interviewer, write like a professional email, summarize in a five bullet point. Okay, so generate a Python program. So the AI follows these instructions because you have guided it through your prompt. This gives you much greater control over the final output. So next move on to some of the real world example. Okay. Yeah. One of our goal is to reduce the weight of a bicycle without reducing the strength. So instead of spending hours of brainstorming ideas, we can ask an AI model, suggest five innovative bicycle frame designs that reduces the material per weight by 20%. Okay. Now the AI doesn't simply give random answer. It may suggest hollow tube structures, honeycomb frame design, carbon fiber materials, topology optimization, truss-based frame structure, and noticing something important. The prompt clearly specifies the number of ideas, the product, the objective, the expected improvement. Because the prompt is specific, the AI generates more useful engineering ideas. This is how the prompt engineering assists in engineering during engineers during the design process. Next example, next the field is programming. Okay, so nowadays almost every software developer uses AI coding assistant. Suppose the programmer wants to calculate the factor of a number instead of write a code, so they give a detailed prompt like write a Python code to calculate factorial using a recursion. Okay, now the AI immediately understands the programming language is Python, the problem is factorial, the method is recursion. So within a second, it generates the correct code. Similarly, the programmer uses the prompt to debug the error, to generate the function, to optimize the code, to explain the algorithms, and to convert the code from one language to another. So prompt engineering has become one of the most valuable skills for software developers. So the next field comes to education. So here the teachers and students uses AI extensively for learning and teaching. For example, a teacher may ask, summarize the module one of artificial intelligence. Okay. So now the AI understand the subject is artificial intelligence, the module is one. So the output length may be 200 words. Okay, so I mean, that also we can give it as an input in the prompt. And instead of generating unnecessary information, it creates a concise summary. So teacher also uses AI to create a question papers, generate multiple choice question, and prepare lecture notes, and design the assessment, and explain the difficult concept. So similarly, students use AI to revise the topic before the examinations. So the next example is marketing. So here the companies use AI to create attractive advertisements and promotional content. For example, suppose a company launches a new electric scooter. Instead of hiring a copywriter for every small task, they can ask AI, try to catch a two-line tagline for an electric scooter brand. So the AI might generate creative slogans like drive the future, ride the change, or charge less, travel more. Okay. So these marketing prompts help businesses create advertisement much faster. So AI also used for social media captions, product descriptions, email campaigns, advertisement script. So there are so many ways, so many things so the AI can use. Okay. So the next one is research. So here the researchers often read hundreds of scientific paper. So reading every paper completely can take days. Instead, they can use AI. For example, they might ask, so summarize this IEEE paper in bullet points for quick reading. The AI extracts the main objective, methodology, and result and conclusion, future work. This also this allows researchers to quickly understand whether the paper is relevant before reading it in detail. So prompt engineering significantly improves the research productivity. Okay, how prompt engineering works. So here normally, prompt engineering actually works with AI models like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. So to understand this, first we first need to know a little about large language models or LLMs. Okay, so LLMs are AI models. So LLM are AI models that have been trained on huge amount of text data. Okay, so LLM are trained on a huge amount of text data. So during the training, they read billions of words from books, articles, websites, research papers, and many other publicly available text sources. So through this training, they learn the pattern in language. They learn the pattern in language. Now, here is an important point. What is that? Many people think Chat GPT understands the language exactly like English, but that's not how it works. Instead, LLM predicts what word or sentence is most likely come next based on the context you provide. So this prediction happens extremely fast, giving the impression that the AI is having a natural conversation. Okay. So understanding with a simple example. So imagine I start a sentence. The sun rises in the. Okay. So if I say so the sun rises in the, can you guess the next word? So most of you would immediately say east. Why? Because you have seen and heard this sentence many times before, right? Similarly, AI predicts the most likely next word based on the pattern it learned during the training. So what you type a prompt, The AI doesn't search for a fixed answer. Instead, it uses the context of your prompt to predict the most appropriate response. So your prompt is like a steering wheel. Now let's understand the most important idea. What is that? Your prompt acts like a steering wheel on a car. Okay. So think about a driving car. The engine provides the power, but the steering will decide which direction the car moves. Similarly, the LLM is like an engine. Okay, LLM is like an engine. It has a huge amount of knowledge and the ability to generate text. The prompt is like a steering wheel. Okay, LLM is like an engine, but prompt is like a steering wheel. It guides the model towards the type of response you want. So if you provide a vague input or incomplete input, the AI doesn't know which direction to take. If you provide a clear and detailed prompt, you guide the AI towards a much better answer. That's why prompt engineering is so important. Okay. So here, so in the vague prompt, okay. So in the example, so if you say vague prompt, uh, tell me about AI. Suppose if you ask a chat GPT, so tell me about AI, so will it answer? Yes, absolutely. It will answer. But the answer will probably be very general. Why? Because the AI doesn't know who you are, what level of explanation you need, whether you want a definition, history, application, or advantages. So it gives a broad overview. So in the second, so for a better prompt. So now if I ask, tell me about AI. So we say explain artificial instead of saying tell me about AI. If you say explain artificial intelligence to first year engineering students or with simple examples from daily life. Now look at this difference. The AI understands the topic is artificial intelligence. The audience is engineering student, and explanation should match their knowledge level. So the real life examples are expected because the prompts provides much more context. The AI generates response that is easier to understand, better organized, more relevant to the audience, and this is the power of prompt engineering. Another example is imagine if you ask write an email. Okay, so write an email. The AI has many questions. To whom? Formal or informal? What's the purpose? Short or detailed? Now compare that with this prompt. Okay, so if we write that prompt in another way, like write a formal email to my manager requesting 2 days of leave due to a family function. Keep it polite and under 150 words. Now the AI has all the information it needs. As a result, the generated email is much more useful. Notice that we didn't change AI, we only improved the prompt. Okay. So the next one is analogy. Okay. So now let's understand the prompt engineering using a very simple and relative analogy. Imagine you have hired a highly skilled intern. This intern is intelligent, hardworking, and capable of doing almost any task. However, there is one important condition. What is that? The intern can only do a good job if you clearly explain what you want. If your instructions are confusing, the intern may not produce the result you expected. This is exactly how AI models like ChatGPT works. They are extremely powerful, but the quality of their output depends on the quality of your instruction. See, for example, if you take poor instruction. So let's look at the first example. So suppose you simply tell the intern, do my project. So now imagine you are the intern. What questions would come to your mind? You might ask, which project? What is the topic? How many pages? Is it a report or a presentation? Who is the audience? When is the deadline? The instruction is too vague. Since the intern doesn't have the information, they either have to guess or ask many follow-up questions. The same thing happens with AI. If you give ChatGPT a vague prompt, that is incomplete prompt, it has to make assumptions and the response may not match what you actually wanted. So second example, if you take for a clear instruction, now let's improve the instruction. Instead of saying do my project, you can say create a PowerPoint presentation with 5 slides and a solar energy application in mechanical engineering. Include the diagram, advantages, disadvantages, and one real world example. Use simple language suitable for engineering students. Now look at the difference. The intern immediately understand the output should be in the PowerPoint presentation, and it should contain exactly 5 slides. The topic is solar energy application, and the diagram should be included, and advantages and disadvantages should be discussed, and one real world example should be added. So the audience is engineering student. Since the instruction is complete, the intern can produce an excellent result without asking additional question. So this is exactly how prompt engineering works. So in summary, we can say the definition of prompt engineering is the designing effective input or prompts to communicate with AI model. What is the goal of this prompt engineering is to get accurate, creative, and context-aware responses. And where it is used in AI tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, and Gemini, etc. And why it is important? So why it is important? Because if you give better prompt, you'll get a better result. Very simple. And example is summarize this paragraph in simple terms for 10-year-old students. So here all the details we have. Okay. So this is why the prompt engineering is very important. So we'll continue.